All right. So speaking of political figures who don't have any power, let's talk about Mike Pence. Let's talk about
There we
good
go.
old Michael Pence. So I was really excited to talk about this interview he did with Fox, in which I think it was Martha McCallum who was interviewing him. And she asked former Vice President Pence if he planned to support Donald Trump now that he's officially clinched the Republican nomination. And Mike Pence said, I quote, "It should come as no surprise that I will not be endorsing Donald Trump." And I got to tell you, that did come as a surprise to me. I don't know why he acted like that was a foregone
Really?
conclusion. I mean, you spent 8 or 9 years kissing Trump's ass the entire time. Even after he led a crowd that wanted to kill you, you still seem to have nothing but nice things to say about the guy. And his explanation was really funny too, because he went on saying that, listen, I have a lot of disagree. Imagine me saying this with like 1,000 times less charisma, but he's like, he says, I have a lot of disagreements with former President Trump. Not, among them is January 6th. That's one of them. But I also don't like how irresponsible he is with the national debt. And he hasn't come out strongly enough against abortion. And he reverses his term in getting tough with China and saying that he opposes the Chinese having to sell TikTok. Now, he focused all of those like with like 5 or 6 sentences backing up, didn't have shit to say about January 6th. And it's like, man, Mike Pence was already a joke. It's just already, it's funny that he thought anyone would care that he wasn't backing Donald Trump. But the one thing I want to point out with this is, because I don't know when the next chance I'm going to talk about Mike Pence ever again, is that Mike Pence is a fascinating political figure for me, because he actually represents everything the Christian right claims they stand for.
Mhm.
He is a true believer in God. He's a deeply religious man. He crosses his T's, he dots his I's, he minds his P's and Q's, whatever letter, based metaphor you want to go with. The guy is straight laced. Can you imagine him swearing? I mean, can you anything like that? He's staunch.
Mike Pence is what you think of when you're trying not to come. Like that's
when you're 90 seconds in and you know it's about, and you're like, all right, Mike Pence will put a stop to this. But yeah, like it just, to me, it's a great example of what the religious right claims to care about and what they actually care about. Like, what they claim to care about is the Bible thumping and everything, but what they actually care about is being just like obnoxiously rude and gross and vile and authoritarian. That's what I want to talk with Mike Pence. We'll go with Cannon first, I guess. Like, what are your thoughts on this shocking news that Mike Pence is rejecting Trump?
Shocking news. I actually wasn't surprised that he didn't endorse him. I mean, the guy tried to have him killed. Like, I know he's a spineless fuck, but I didn't think he would be that spineless of a fuck. But I guess you did. That's fine. That's fair. My favorite thing about this, though, is the headline from the Indy Star. Okay, it's Mike Pence is not endorsing Trump. Here's why that doesn't matter. And that's the Indy Star. That's his hometown paper. Ooh. And that was my favorite bit. That was my favorite. That's why rough. It doesn't matter. Because it doesn't. Like you said, this is your last chance to talk about him. He was a little bit of an irrelevant figure to start. He, like you said, no charisma, no political whatever. He got stuck on the Donald Trump ticket because he had no personality, so he wouldn't overshadow Donald Trump. But like you said, he's the ticket to the Bible thumpers. But now they're all just so they all want Trump to be king. Speaking of monarchies, right? So they don't need a Pence kind of figure anymore. So into the lion's den with you, Mikey. That's my thought.
It is. So like when I read this, I wasn't surprised so much that he didn't. I just thought he would kind of just not bring up it. Like I just figured he just wouldn't say anything. I'm surprised he was like pretty harsh with it, which is what I was surprised mostly by. Like he was like, I cannot in good conscience. Whenever you say you cannot in good conscience do something, that's like you mean this shit. And he's like, not in good conscience endorse Donald Trump, which is a big deal. Like as much as that MAGA already hates Pence, right? But like I feel like if I'm an undecided voter, that wouldn't matter to me. Like if I'm like, the vice president isn't endorsing the guy he worked with for 4 years. He got a pretty close look at the presidency, and he said he cannot in good conscience do this. Like, I know that swing voters probably aren't like, you know, in this election, the most logically coherent people.
Yeah.
But like, still, I feel like Biden could hammer the fuck out of that. Like I swear to God, like Biden should have about like 20 different things he's waiting for Trump to say during the first debate, where he could just respond with, "Well, at least my vice president endorsed me." Like, and I feel like that is a winning line every time, and there's nothing that Donald can do against it. And I feel like that would win people over on just a basic human level.
We would like to think so.
Yeah,
but, you know,
I might be overly hopeful here, but I feel like it will move the needle a little bit. A little bit.
So here are the two. I had two thoughts when you said that, John. First is you said that might move some people, and then my immediate reaction was no, it wouldn't. But then again, I'm overestimating like how knowledgeable like your normie is when it comes to politics. Like, I thought maybe that's true. Like maybe they have no idea that there was a crowd chanting "Hang Mike Pence," and that
nobody knows. No normie didn't endorse Trump. Like the normies have no idea that this happened. That's why Biden would have to hit him over the head with it in a very public setting.
And then when you said that, I did think of something Trump could say. I did think that Trump could say in response to that. It's like, oh, well, after Obama's term, he endorsed somebody else. He didn't endorse you to be president. And so what's up with that? So that's what I would respond with if I was Trump. I was like, oh, your running mate wasn't too keen. It wasn't the same as not endorsing, but it would be something. It would be something. And it's all in delivery too. But yeah, that was a story that I wanted to cover. And Mike Pence, you mentioned the Indy Star. So I live in Indianapolis, and I'm not from here. I ended up here a few years ago, but Mike Pence, every once in a while, I'll still see like you can catch like a motorcade that's clearly like a Secret Service. He's like, it's Mike Pence, whatever. He lives like 30 minutes south of here. But I remember learning like when Mike Pence was first suggested to be Trump's vice president. And yeah, you're right. We bring this up all the time with people who Trump might pick to be his vice president. And I was like, look, I don't know who it's going to be, but I tell you, it's not going to be like Ron DeSantis or Nikki Haley or Vivek Ramaswamy. It's anyone with a personality out the window. Like there's a minimal chance he can pick a woman with a personality because he'll feel less threatened by that. But generally, it's got to be someone boring. It's got to be someone that Trump is completely confident that he can, walk over and overshadow, that won't steal the spotlight from him. And so we've been saying that plenty of times that there's no way that'll happen. So Pence was perfect for that, but he ironically like did the right thing on January 6th, which I would not have bet on. I would not have bet on it that he actually did. So kudos to that.
I would have
go to hell.
See, this is weird. Like I would have bet on, like the thing. I wasn't surprised he didn't endorse him, and I knew he'd come through on January 6th because he's such a good little Christian boy. He knew he was breaking the rules, and at the core of it, like he was raised Catholic, which is important to know. So he may have like converted to evangelical Christianity.
I didn't know that, huh?
But when you're raised Catholic, it follows you. It just does. And like I could feel him like standing in the room, just like with the nuns behind him, just knowing like the ire that would follow him if he did. You can't break the rules. When Catholicism is in your soul, you can't break the rules. But to John's point, I have one thing, like to your point about when his vice president won't endorse him, will that like break the normies? And where Biden can hammer it is it's not like it's just Mike Pence that has come out and said it's not endorsed. Like I actually have the list. It's Bill Barr, John Bolton, H.R. McMaster, Jim Mattis, John Kelly, Mark Milley, Dan Coates, Mick Mulvaney, and to date, Nikki Haley. So that's his entire White House, like Oval Office staff. Those are his closest advisors. Not a single person that worked daily in the Oval Office with him is willing to endorse him. That's the message you hammer home. Because literally, if all of your coworkers say, don't hire that fucker back, you don't hire that fucker back.
It really is like, it's not that hard of a path to re-election. All Biden has to do is say, no one who worked with Trump is endorsing him. He wants to stop you from having an abortion, and then just stop killing people in Gaza. He does those three things, and the election is all his. One of them is going to be much harder for him than the other two, and it's not the one it should be.
It's not the one it should be.
The worst part is he doesn't even have to do the third thing. He just has to point to how much worse it would be without him.
Yeah.
Because Donald Trump is basically, because Jared Kushner's come out with like, the Gaza Strip has some really good beachfront property that we should develop.
Oh, did he say that?
He said that.
He said that, and he's like, we should just move everybody out. Like, so he basically came out loud and said, we should ethnically cleanse this region for hotels. So if they think Gaza's getting better in a Trump administration, dream on. Like, dream on. Like, is it bad? Yes. Would it be exponentially worse? Also, yes. So. And he got $2 billion from the Saudis. I'd like to also throw out there for a particular reason. $2 billion from the Saudis, and now dreams of oceanfront property in Gaza. That's not a coincidence.
All right, guys, you made it to the end of the episode. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for watching this whole time. The algorithm really likes it. The algorithm also likes when you like and subscribe, and also when you comment about how stupid Elon Musk is. That's very important. So, and after you do that, you should also find our guest and comment on her videos about how stupid Elon Musk is. So, Cannon, how about you tell everyone where they can find you?
I'm you'll more likely find me on TikTok. That's where most of my followers are. So I'm at Cannons Fodder. On Instagram as well, at Cannons Fodder _TT or no _IG, because it's Instagram. I'm terrible at telling people who I am. I also have a podcast. It's called Just Buy Less Coffee, answering the deeper questions of American politics. And my co-host is Troy Matthews. You can find him at Keep Troy Blue. And he writes for Midas Media. He's one of their staff writers there as well. So he writes about Elon Musk being stupid quite often. So you'll be able to find plenty there. But yeah, that's where you can find me. That's what I do.
Thanks so much, Kathy. We really appreciate it. We appreciate you coming here all the way from the British Isles. We loved hearing everything you had to say. Folks, go follow her, follow Troy, follow John, follow myself. Our handles are down there, and do it, or we'll make fun of you the same way we make fun of Elon Musk.